a shocker at the box office, huge Marvel news, and so much more in this episode of Beyond the Screen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Beyond the Screen. Now, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify and you notice a little something different, this is the case, okay? This episode was directed by Christopher Nolan, and you did not pay for the premium large formatting, the 70mm screening
It was
in
shot
IMAX. Yeah.
IMAX.
Yeah, and so you are watching, you're missing a lot, but you're watching
Standard format.
Standard format. So you're missing a ton. So you should have paid the extra fee instead of just watching on YouTube for free. You should have really invested a little bit. But now this is what you get. You get a third of the screen. I'm Ryan, that's Jake, and again, this is Beyond the Screen. How are you guys doing? How are you doing, Jake?
I feel a little cramped.
Yeah. Yeah, it's but doesn't this just feel dramatic? You can look right in my eyes as I'm telling you the news. This week on the box office, yeah, it's just this is a game changer, okay? Yeah. I want you to know at home. Again, our audio listeners are like, "What is going on?" We have
this clicks off.
Yeah, right. We have the most dramatic framing. We decided for a bit, we were playing around with some of our softwares, and Jake was like, "Dude, I can go premium formatting," and like pulls the bars. So we're just really, really like tight, confined space. And
See, the joke could be going over my head, and you wouldn't even know it.
I know. There could be a lot going on. How long do we do this? How long does the bit go on?
Look over there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We'll give you. We heard the complaints. Okay. We bring back this with the regular formatting. You get all of the niceness of the 70mm. Yeah.
My
you can
room.
see the top of our heads.
My lovely room.
Yeah. And my Bulls thing. Anyway, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hosting again. I took it straight from the clutches of my co-host, Jake, who did a great job last week, actually.
He's now in a thunderstorm and could possibly lose everything.
Yeah. Right before we started recording, literally I'm hovering over the record button, and Jake looks at his phone and he goes, "Storm here," and turns and looks out his window. I'm like, "You good?" He goes, "We'll see."
We'll see.
That's where we're at. So if Jake just dies and it's just me, I guess you get a solo show until he comes back.
I was going to say, could be a solo run.
Yeah, so we will see. Because, listen, we do this like we're live, and we don't stop recording for nothing. So, alas, we shall see how things go. Anyway, I'm doing great. I finally got back from my illustrious travels. I feel like Odysseus. I literally just everywhere.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it. No, I got back. I finally got back home late. I didn't read the book, didn't watch the movie. I don't know who that is. Got back home late this past week and if you're wondering if I took a break, I did not. I immediately went and traveled the state for various events and endeavors and hoo-ha-ha. But back to work today. We're back to that grind. And so, yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking, Jake.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Anyway, you? What you got going on besides a thunderstorm?
Ryan came over.
I did.
Amongst other friends and family.
I wined and dined my man.
Sliders and whatnot. But that's pretty much all I got. That's the only thing that happened over the weekend. I just waited on Ryan to get there, and then I was sad when he left. So like a puppy.
Yeah. His girlfriend was there, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. She doesn't watch this.
If you're if you're curious about like what we did, it's a group of borderline autistic individuals watching. What was it? It was like endangered species by state. That was the.
It was each state's like sole species that like they can claim and no other state can claim.
Yeah, Jake turned and looked.
Most of them are endangered because of that.
there were a group of 5 of us, and the other 3 were doing their own thing. And Jake turns and looks at me and goes, "I'm pandering to the masses," and presses on this video. And when I tell you, all 5 of us locked in harder than anything we had locked in on the entire day. We all went whoosh and turned and just started watching this show.
The thing is it wasn't like that much of a hit. Like, it was actually negative reviews, but they still locked in on it, and they're smarter because of it.
Right. We were also clowning on the states that border us and their endangered stuff, only for our state to just be a flower. Like
barely even a flower.
Bro, this guy's got a salamander, and then it gets to our state, and it's like a weed.
Kentucky clover. It's the Kentucky clover, which is not a weed, mind you.
It's just a tall flower that is often mistaken for another type of flower that
just the regular.
Yeah. There's just that minuscule amount of difference.
Buffalo clover.
Right. That's what we did this weekend, and you're here for a film podcast. So I think we should probably get the show rolling. We start our show Beyond the Screen, which is why you're here, with our box office segment. Always beginning the show, segment 1. We go over the past week in terms of how films did, and for starters, our predictions. We're in a competition. It's me versus Jake versus an AI. Yes, we feed the water into the machine. Sorry, but it's interesting to see how the bot does against us. And Jake, let's throw up our statistics on the board. Let's see how we're doing this week. So our predictions from this past week. Jake, well, technically came in first. Wait, is that correct? Did you get 2 out of 5?
Yeah, I got Moana.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize the second one popped up. That's my bad. Jake predicted his top 5 being The Odyssey, Moana, Toy Story 5, Minions and Monsters, and The Invite, getting 2 out of 5 correct. I predicted The Odyssey, Toy Story 5, Moana, Minions and Monsters, and Pinocchio Unstrung. I took a shot in the dark, and I got 1 out of 5. And then TJ or Claude predicted The Odyssey, Moana, Toy Story 5, Minions and Monsters, and Evil Dead Burn, 1 through 5, and got 2 out of 5 correct. That brings our totals to Jake up to 53, leading the way, with TJ close behind at 51, and me right behind both of them at 49. Biggest lead is 4.
And is he catching up?
It ebbs and flows. I get close, and then I take a shot in the dark, and then I drop back down to 4, and then I get close again. It's been an interesting, again, we talk about this every week, the competition and how close it's been. And the thing is, there's only so many ways it can go with the top 5. If you were here last week, you'll know that we talked about how difficult this week was to predict, and boy, did things go awry. I do want to point out, I won't even talk about Pinocchio Unstrung because that was just a shot in the dark and I was wrong. However, none of us got the 5th spot in the top 5 correct. I do want to point out that I've called Toy Story 5 beating Moana. Toy Story 5 was less than 500,000 from beating Moana. That's how close it was. I was like a percentage away from getting that, from totally calling that. That's how close I was. I was right on the money. And I just was wrong. I was wrong by literal fractions. But I will take my loss. I'll take it honorably.
McQueen is fading.
Come in third. Yeah, McQueen is fading. Yeah, that's how I feel right now. Reminder, I started in the lead for a long time of this season, and then it just...
He had a pretty good lead, too.
It tanked. It wasn't pretty good. It was like 4 at the height, like what you're at now. But yeah, it's sad.
Almighty fallen.
McQueen is fading. However, that's been our predictions. Again, Jake leaks away with 53 points on the season, Claude at 51, and me at 49. We're all very tight. And again, all it takes is one good week from one of us to overtake or push that lead to almost an insurmountable comeback for the rest of us. We will see. Stick around and comment down below what you think the top 5 will be this upcoming week. However, before we get into the predictions for next weekend, let's tell you what actually happened from this past weekend. Going back to the top 1 through 5, The Odyssey comes in first, obviously, followed by Moana. Hadestown the Musical comes in third, out of nowhere.
I need to update that. Why didn't y'all tell me?
No, it's okay. Toy Story 5 comes in 4th, and Minions and Monsters comes in 5th. So let's go back to the top, and let's tell you exactly how those numbers stacked up. In its second weekend in theaters, The Odyssey racks in $90 million domestically, pushing its global total to $652 million, which is just a smooth... Again, if you were here last week, we talked about it. This was a record-breaking opening for a Nolan film, which is shocking because of just the banger after banger he usually comes out with. Despite all of the online turmoil and the endless debate, which is what happens when you have artists who create anything, you're going to have debate over whether or not it's good. People are still going to see this movie. We will not sit here and overstate how hot this movie is, right? We don't have to go into that because you've heard it everywhere. But the Dailies puts it into perspective. The Dailies newsletter, sign up. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Does not blow up your inbox, and they always keep you updated. I cannot hype them up enough. Sponsor us. Not really. You don't have to. I'll still hype you up either way. But the Daily's newsletter puts it into perspective. Almost 60% of every dollar spent, that every dollar spent is a quote, at a theater in North America this past weekend went towards Nolan's film, with 57% of the film's gross coming from premium viewing experiences, which is up 4% from last week when it was at 53%. All while not or having open in heavy-hitting markets like Korea, China, or Japan. So, Jake, it's not a question of if, it's when, and by how much will this film clear the $1 billion mark?
Wow. Given that it's sitting at close. It's from
that's 652
globally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Week 2. I don't know. It's gonna be close. I don't think so.
You don't think it's gonna clear it by a lot?
No.
No, I think it'll get a lot closer to 1.5. I think it's gonna have a crazy long
release in Korea, China, and Japan.
It's not yet. It's going to.
Will.
Yes, it has yet to hit those markets, and it's almost hit $1 billion right now. It's almost 3/4 to $1 billion without having hit those markets: China, Korea, and Japan.
They do like Matt Damon, and they do like Edward.
I'm telling you, I think it's gonna. I think over under $1.5 billion. Do we think it'll get closer to 2?
No.
No.
Over. Yeah. Not 2.
You don't think it's going to get closer
I'm on
to 2?
The over-under. I'm the under. Going under.
I'm going to say 1.6. I think it'll get close. I'm not saying right at 1.6. I'm thinking like 1.57 or something like that, but I think it'll be very close to 1.6 after it's all said and done. It's not even 3 weeks in, and it's already at almost 700 million, and it's not even released everywhere. I feel pretty confident about that too. Like, could it slow down dramatically after week 4? Probably, but like at that point, if it stays this hot, it earned almost 100 million domestically in its second weekend.
Yeah, but it only got 76,000 in Albania. So
shoot, they lost the Albanian market. What do they do?
Okay, but what did it do in Greece?
Oh, that'd be the funniest if it just didn't.
1.4 million.
I'd say that's probably pretty good for the Greeks. The Greek.
14 million in France. Anybody else sticking out? United Kingdom, 16 million.
Go figure. Isn't Nolan like his history dates to the UK somehow? Pretty sure he's knighted as well.
Sir Christopher Nolan?
Yeah, I'm like 99% sure he got knighted.
Yeah, he is. He's a British American.
I told you. I figured he was. I thought I knew he was from the UK
What makes you
to some extent.
Both?
Born in America, and then you probably raised in Britain.
He's born in London.
Then he could have come over.
He got educated in London. Yeah.
Huh. You can also
I guess that's what makes you American.
You can also get your citizenship like as an adult. Like that is an option.
No,
you can't.
No, you can't. Not anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, political statement.
Yeah,
political statement.
Me, I forgot. Ooh. Anyway, let's move on. We're going off the rails here. Finishing second is Moana in its third weekend in theaters, earning $10.6 million domestically, pushing its global tally to $229.5 million. After dropping another 40% in ticket sales from the previous week, the $250 million movie looks to be dead in the water, monetarily speaking. Are we shocked? I mean, really, like we saw the previews. Everyone was clowning on it before it even graced our screens as a preview in any movie theater. Like, this is awful. I mean, it's again, we talked about it. We beat this horse. We don't need this. We don't need this. It's dead. The horse is dead, okay? We beat it. It's dead.
We're milking a dead horse, guys.
Listen. We beat the horse dead, okay? That's where we're at right now, is Moana is just not... We didn't need a live-action remake a decade after the original.
I've been seeing AI edits of The Rock twerking in Moana. And I've also seen him take the wig off. It was crazy. That's where our water is going, folks.
Coming in third.
I updated this, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake. For those watching at home, now Hadestown the musical is where it should be.
I wanted to give it
third place. Thank you. As it should, because that's an insane pull this week. Again, absolutely bonkers. Coming in third is Hadestown the Musical, debuting to $10.2 million domestically. That's it. It hasn't gone globally, but that $10.2 million domestic is insane when you think about what this movie actually is. It's not a movie. It is a filmed theatrical performance that they threw in theaters, and it's popping off. Again, in a shocker, it takes that Greek craze that's going on right now with the Odyssey coming in number one. Whoever planned this release, they're brilliant because they knew what they were doing. People are in the mood for that type of stuff with the Odyssey in theaters, and they got paid handsomely for it. They slide past two family heavyweights in Pixar's Toy Story 5 and Illumination's Minions and Monsters. According to the numbers, which, by the way, we've ditched Box Office Mojo almost entirely because it's just unreliable. The numbers, if you want your box office news or information early and accurate, go to the numbers. So according to the numbers, the film synopsis entails, quote, the live theater capture of the hit musical Hadestown, which won 8 Tony Awards in 2019, including Best Musical and the 2020 Grammy Award for Best Musical Theater Album, featuring the 5 original principals of the Broadway company. The genre-defying new musical blends modern American folk music with New Orleans-inspired jazz to reimagine a sweeping ancient tale. Is this running anywhere? Like, is that why this hit theaters? Like, other than the fact that the Odyssey's in theaters and someone's trying to cash? Because the point I made before is like, if this, like, it's a theatrical play, go watch the play. Like why? Go see it. Go to Chicago. Go to New York. Wherever it's near you. What? Like, I know not everyone can go to Chicago or go to New York, but you know what I'm saying? Is like, why are we not just watching the play? But anyway, I get off my hater soapbox. But that's my quick opinion about that.
Near me,
Jake's checking. Cincinnati, probably.
Yeah. Upcoming tour dates: Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, Illinois, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Massachusetts, Maine, New York, Colorado, Arizona, California, Washington, Oregon,
so it
Washington,
is still bouncing
Missouri.
Around.
Yes, 100%.
Go
watch it from now through 2027.
Go watch this
mid
play.
2027.
Great that these companies are able to make money, because especially like in today's environment where people think that like live stage acting is like dead.
That's what this is.
Go watch this, because I mean, if it can make 10.2 million just in theaters, go watch the play. Like when the tour date rolls around, if it's a drivable distance, I'm not saying go 3 hours out of your way, but if you can, go watch it. Anywho, with that out of the way, we'll move on in our top 5
soapbox
to fourth, with Toy Story 5 in its 6th weekend in theaters, earning $10.1 million domestically and passing the $1 billion mark worldwide. This becomes the 3rd movie this year to cross that margin, joining Super Mario Galaxy and Michael. However, this good news is overshadowed by a lot of bad news, and we'll talk about it later, but Pixar's had a rough week, even despite having a film cross the $1 billion mark. And lastly, at number 5 is Minions and Monsters in its first month in theaters, its 4th weekend, earning $9.7 million domestically and pushing its global total to $414.2 million. Other titles from around the box office, coming in 6th was Evil Dead Burn, followed by The Invite at 7th and Young Washington at 8th. So Jake, looking at the rest of the box office, anything catch our eye?
I think that we need to poke out Pinocchio Unstrung sitting way down there at 15, Ryan. I think we need to point that out for no in particular reason other than
right. It only released to 505 theaters, despite it saying it was going to go wide. Which wide is like what? Isn't that 600 theaters? So it said wide last week and it wasn't. So I don't know what you want from me. I took a shot in the dark on a film that said wide. I got lied to. What are we doing here? What are we talking about here?
Oh, man. What else we got in here? Got The Death of Robin Hood sitting at 31.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't that the Hugh Jackman led? But then again, how long has that film been in theaters? That's not that shocking.
A while.
A while.
6 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, I would have expected it to do a little better.
You know who else has been in there 6 weeks? Toy Story 5.
That is a little apples to oranges, but I see your point. I don't know. I would have expected a Hugh Jackman-led film to do a little better than 31 in its 6th week. However, the film's only earned $6 million at the worldwide box office.
You know what Disclosure Day sitting at? It's week 7 though.
13.
Yep. So
that is kind of eye-catching.
Obsession, top 10.
That is still a film that's
week.
earned 239 million, excuse me. In terms of what it's done, let me check something real quick. What is
Obsession's beating out Backrooms. Obsession's still in the millions.
Oh, I'm not shocked. Disclosure Day is not yet profitable. I would be willing to bet, because it costs 115 million to shoot, at least. Oof. You know, on average anyway, what people are assuming, and you can usually double that at least for marketing. So not looking good for Disclosure Day to break even. However,
Spielberg.
Yeah. Steven, what happened?
More shark movies.
While an exciting week at the box office, no huge names outside of The Odyssey doing its thing, a lot of holdovers, and the shocker in Hadestown kind of pulling a lot of audiences away. And that does kind of make sense, because you got to think, like, those families that do like that probably also would be more inclined to go and watch a Hadestown versus The Odyssey, right? So it's not shocking that audience that's floating, that doesn't necessarily want to go to their family outing to a 3-hour movie, they want to see something new, and there's something that, if you're a theater kid, you most definitely want to watch Hadestown. So it makes sense. But with that out of the way, Jake, let's go ahead and break in to our predictions. Start us off here. What's your top 5 and why?
All right. Get ready, guys. Friendly Neighborhood Arachnid will be coming in first. Spider-Man Brand New Day. The Odyssey at 2. I think, call me crazy, Spider-Man going to beat The Odyssey. Toy Story 5 at 3. Minions and Monsters at 4. And Moana at 5. That's my predictions. Ryan, what's yours?
We're very close. Simply put, our first 3 is the exact same. Our kind suburban 8-legged insect, not insect, finishes first. Yeah. I couldn't think of another, because you already took arachnid.
Synonyms.
Yeah. But anyway, Spider-Man Brand New Day comes in 1. It's gonna break records. Everyone's hyped about this movie, especially leading up to what we'll be talking about next segment, Doomsday. So very hyped about this movie myself. We'll be reviewing it next week, so come back. But with that out of the way, The Odyssey comes in second. Obviously, I think that's not a crazy take. I feel like I've left a movie off the top 5. Yeah, I've only got 4. Yeah, I did. I meant to put Toy Story at 3. I only have 4 films.
Sounds like you locked it in. You just need to roll with 4.
No, I'm doing the 5. I meant to put Toy Story 5 at 3. Again, I said our top 3 were the exact same, but the only one we switched was Moana and Minions and Monsters. So again, my top 5 includes Spider-Man Brand New Day, The Odyssey, Toy Story 5. I have Moana just barely edging out Minions and Monsters. They're separate by less than 1 million. However, even if you look at what they're dropping by in this past week, I think one's closer to 30 and the other's over 40. I know Moana is like 41%. They're both going to drop by over 30%. And I don't think there's enough, unless Moana drops by 60%, which it won't. I feel like we've already seen it drop that much in its earlier weeks in theaters. I don't think we're going to see another 60%. If they both stay around that 30 to 40%, I don't think Minions will pass Moana. So I think it will hold on to that 4th spot. So again, Moana comes in 4th, Minions and Monsters comes in 5th. And Jake, what TJ saying?
TJ saying, TJ also missing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, TJ said the same thing as you, Ryan. So Spider-Man Brand New Day at 1, The Odyssey at 2, Toy Story 5 at 3, Moana at 4, and Minions and Monsters at. Sorry, I saw it was the same, and I just copied Ryan's, which created the mistake. Okay. But yeah, TJ and Ryan, once again, buddy. They had the same mind. I don't know if that's a diss on Ryan or a diss on Claude. I don't know.
Claude's upset. You asked Claude, you put it in the chat, like, you got the same as Ryan again. Are you upset? And he's like, "Guh." They types out, "No."
Yeah.
No, so, I don't. The thing is, we didn't have the same last week. I don't think
you're as smart as the rest of the internet this week.
Thank God. Not really, because Claude has a tendency to go 1 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. So either this is fantastic or this is terrible. The way that I feel about it, it's a very logical approach to the top 5, just simply. But again, I love your switching of Moana to 5th because of how drastically it's been falling and how Minions has stayed very consistent. However, again, like I said, I just don't think it's going to drop hard enough. It will be close. It'll be a lot like this week where Moana beats Toy Story 5 by less than 500 or 600,000. You know, it'll be one of those where we're coming in next week, biting our fingernails going, ugh, what's going to happen before 7:30 hits? But yeah, I think it's going to be really tight and it's going to be fun. But this isn't as difficult as it was last week, where last week we were like, okay, obviously the Odyssey is going to come in 1, but what's going to happen beyond that? Anything could happen because so many films were coming out in similar succession, or lack thereof, I should say. This week we have one big one. We know the Odyssey is going to stick around, and then those last 3 are holdovers. So we'll see.
And might I add, Claude or TJ said Hades Town was in 4th this week. So we did allow it redo.
We did not feel it fair because, again, if we're struggling to figure out what films are staying in theaters and what films are not, of course, the bot would struggle as well. And so we decided to give the bot a little bit of leeway because originally it did have Hades Town at 4, so we did reprompt it. So hate us if you want. But we wanted to have a fair competition, even for our more technological friends. Anyway, anything else you want to tell the people about our box office before we move on?
Nope.
All right.
I always make y'all wait.
Yeah.
No.
He's got to ponder. He's got to make sure you guys know he's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
With that out of the way, coming up after the break, Hall H was busy at the San Diego Comic-Con. We'll tell you what happened right after the break.
Is there a break?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, bear with me. We're back.
Forget that I have to press buttons.
Yeah.
I was reading up on the Odyssey's translator.
So historically, for those who are wondering why we're like, what is going on with these two today? Why are they acting like that? We're in a state of transition. We lost our director, Emily. She moved on to greener pastures, and so now we're reallocating various responsibilities amongst the two of us. So forgive us as we have a little bit of growing pains in the next few weeks, which is why Jake made
I hosted last week.
Yeah. Not only did we now have to reallocate jobs and responsibilities last week, but also because of my predicament with my internet, I was on the opposite end. We flipped responsibilities, so it's a whole thing. So thank you for your patience. We will get this all sorted out some way, shape, or form. But anywho, speaking of show and being patient, we have a main topic to discuss, Jake. That being Marvel. We've had some major news from the world of the San Diego Comic-Con and our favorite long-running cinematic universe, that is Marvel. So let's break it down. Let's talk about what's going on. We got news about not only Doomsday, however, to start the festival, to start the panel that was, again, Marvel at the San Diego Comic-Con, it started half an hour late than what it was supposed to be. After it finally got underway, Kevin Feige, the Marvel head himself, took the stage to a doom-clawed army of cosplayers, all excited for anything new from the world's largest realm of superheroes. Talking to the audience, Feige stated, quote, "Today we're mainly going to talk about movies. We're mainly going to talk about movies because that's what brings us together in the world, and that is via Marvel themselves." Following this comment, the boss unveiled a new cut for Avengers Endgame, which is being considered a must-watch prior to Doomsday. This new cut, titled Endgame Encore, will return to Marvel's biggest film, I should say, to theaters in September with new footage that aims to set the stage for Doomsday, living up to the promise that returning Russo brothers set 2 years ago when they claimed this new installment is not only a continuation of everything we've seen thus far, but is a direct sequel to Endgame, which had people talking back then about, oh, are you sure? Because there's a lot in between then and now, right? Nope. Endgame Encore hitting the screen with more footage that is supposed to connect Doomsday directly to Endgame. Feige continued, quote, "The world's a different place, but reminding all of us what it was like to be in that theater. Cheering along and enjoying that crazy enthusiasm is why we're releasing Avengers Endgame on September 25th. Jake, is this the beginning of the retcon that everyone's talking about? Like, you're going back retroactively and changing the story so that it meshes, because everything that happened between doesn't, well, not everything. There's Fantastic Four, Shang-Chi, like they're all going to be there. However, this is the beginning of the retcon, right?
Yeah, like I got a bone to pick with him because
go ahead.
Bones here.
Go ahead.
If you have to go back 10 years and retcon a film and then put it back out as a cash grab and say you have to watch this to understand anything going forward, stop telling the story.
Yeah.
It's no longer the story it began and like was intended to be. At this point, call it quits and start anew. Let's get the the next wave of Avengers in here, or whatever you want to call them, Revengers or whatnot.
Yeah.
We're already so far off of the comics that it's like it's not even based on that anymore. So
it does feel like, oh, hey, we're acknowledging that we were wrong to continue in the way we did after Endgame, which what did people say after Endgame when they started seeing some of the shows and the content and the quality of that content in the early 2020s? It's like,
start
hey,
getting in the multiverse stuff.
Yes, it's convoluted and it's not as high a quality as you were before. You should have taken a break. That's been the thing that's been going through the zeitgeist of the internet and especially Marvel fandom for a long time now. And that has caused a lot of debate in and of itself. But this is kind of an open acknowledgement of that, it feels like. It's like, hey, we screwed up. We need to somehow get the train back on tracks, and we need to go back to where things were last successful in order to try to re-get the car on the road. And it feels, it's almost unfortunate, because in my next question, you kind of already answered it, was going to be like, how do we feel about retroactively adding story to a film that's almost a decade old, right? I feel like it's cheap. I feel like again, it's like, oh, what do? Let's go back to the cash cow. You know, like, let's bring back Chris Evans. Let's bring back Robert Downey, which was the problem people had 2 years ago whenever Downey was originally announced as Dr. Doom. Now, I am very interested because I've seen some of the theories about what the story will be. And I won't lie. If this is what they go with, I'm interested. But again, I'd like to see how are they going to retcon the rest of Phase 4, right? But anyway, let's continue with what I had read online. The idea is that Steve Rogers, when he went back in time and stayed with Peggy, he created another timeline, whereas in every other timeline, right, the person that becomes Dr. Doom was supposed to become Tony Stark, right? Like, that level of genius in every other timeline becomes Tony Stark. But because of Steve Rogers staying in the past, he doesn't ever become iced, right? He doesn't become Captain America in the future when he's needed. So countries like Latvia is born, right? Like that. Hold on, let me make sure I'm getting that correct. Dr. Doom.
Latvia,
yeah, it is Latvia.
Destroyed.
For some reason, whenever I said that, it sounded wrong. So I want to make sure it is Latvia. Latveria. Yep. See, that I knew I was pronouncing it wrong. So it becomes Latveria, which is how Tony Stark, or what should have been Tony Stark, becomes Victor Von Doom, is because that country is birthed into existence and becomes this power where the sorcerer that is Dr. Doom can exist. Henceforth, why? Think about what we're dealing with the most recent Fantastic Four, right? That's how that's born, is because of Steve Rogers staying in the past. That, for me, is interesting, right? Like, that, I find that fascinating, and that's a decent way not only to gain interest with fans like myself, but it also is a good way to retcon and to connect it to Endgame. However, you don't need extra footage for that. Like, that's, I guess that's where I'm saying is, like, you can tell this whole movie that you're about to go into in Doomsday, it all being encompassed within that narrative. You do not have to go back, re-release a film that's 7 years old with more footage just so it makes sense in the context of the story you're telling. Because again, if that theory is true, you don't have to do that. You just straight up do not have to say that. You could say, hey, everything back that what happened there is true, but now look what it caused. Because then all of a sudden, all these multiversal issues, right? Loki, what Loki's dealing with in his series, Fantastic Four, Deadpool, all that stuff, all these variants and all these timelines that spawn, right? You can point back to and say, hey, the time travel, the logic with the time travel that we see in Endgame, where they're jumping from, it's not time travel per se, it's jumping to different realities, essentially. It is like a very Neanderthal way to explain it. But that explanation for how they're able to go back and get all these other stones so that they can compete with Thanos and how Thanos is able to come back. That's exactly what happens to Chris Evans's Cap. Is he doesn't go back to his own timeline. He goes back to another timeline and fills that gap where he was never supposed to be. And that's what creates Doctor Doom, who was going to be Tony Stark. That, for me, that's fascinating. But again, we just don't need this retcon. We don't need this. You could just move on. You could just say that's what happened. So I don't know. I just feel like this is a way for them to make more money. Like, it's just cash cow. It's, oh yeah.
You have to watch this. Go to the theaters. There's only going to be about 20 minutes at the end that's different.
Right. Yeah. It's going to, yeah. And I've also seen
you watch this on YouTube in a year.
Right. I've seen someone else say too that maybe that Loki was another one that was a must watch, which wasn't the whole thing with this, is that the Russos and Robert Downey Jr. did they not say, am I remembering incorrectly, where they were like, yeah, you don't have to watch anything else before coming into this one? Was that not what they said not that long ago?
But they're trying to close up. They're trying to tie all the knots of the multiverse and say that's over. And you have to mention Loki in that.
I know.
And I'm seeing stuff where they're saying we're on like the fighting planet ruled by Doom. Like the leak was talking about that and how Doom has Loki's power of timeline manipulation or whatever he was doing in the TV show. And yeah, and that's what it's going to be. It's not, what is it? It's not Elseworlds, or it's definitely not that. But it's I don't remember what it's called. There was a mobile game of it, but they're fighting each other. Like that's what it's supposed to be. It's Doom's arena world or whatever.
But so you brought up Loki again. Was his whole thing with the TVA, was that not to create this loophole so you could do this? Wasn't that like the groundwork was laid for a Kang? Like that was obviously the whole point. But that is such a gaping hole that you could easily fill it with Doctor Doom, and it's the same logic. You know, like you don't have to. I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me with where they're like, again, if what I explained earlier is where they're going, I think it could work. But I don't understand what they're going to add to Endgame. I don't understand how changing that story is going to add so much context that you couldn't have added it into the new movie. That's where I am. Because again, if Doctor Doom's like, oh yeah, like in every other universe, I should have been this hero and I'm not, and that's why I have this problem. Like, that's why, like I've peeked into the other timelines and myself is a hero. You know what I mean? That type of my life was stolen from me because of the selfishness of Steve Rogers. Just, you know what I mean? Like, that is interesting because then that adds on to it. Remember, whenever when RDJ was first announced as Doctor Doom, everyone was like, oh, Spider-Man, when he sees his face, is going to be like, oh, that's such a cool concept in and of itself. But when you add on to it, that's who he was supposed to be. And Doctor Doom knows it. There's so much emotional depth. There's so much character complexity there. That's fun. And that's what Marvel has made Marvel so fun in the past, is even Thanos. He's the epitome of evil, but when he explained why, you're like, you know, I can see in a twisted way that he thinks he's doing good, even if it's not. In the same way, Doctor Doom, you obviously have to add a lot more story to that. That is it's a very similar thing where it's like, I'm trying to fix this because you broke it, even if he's going about it the complete wrong way. If that is how it goes. Again, you did not need to re-release Endgame with new footage to prove that point. You just did. But anyway. Oh.
Yeah.
Jake, there he is. Sorry, you froze on me, Jake. What'd you say?
I did not. I just don't think I don't care for it. I don't care. I don't like the idea. I think just quit. We're talking so much about Doomsday when Secret Wars is the nearest, right?
It is. No, Doomsday's this December and Secret Wars is next year or the year after.
So what's that about?
It depends on who you ask. Are you following the comic? So yeah, that comes out next year. Are you following the comic or are you following like the convoluted mess that they've tried to lay out? Because
there's not much to go off of other than plot under wraps.
Right. So, according to Yahoo, the movie will see the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men teaming up to defeat the multi-universal threat. I have no idea. That's it. That's what we're at right now in terms of what Secret Wars could be. But again, we haven't even gotten through Doomsday, so I don't even want to try to begin to to conceive of what that could entail. Anyway, any other thoughts on
The Beyonder.
Endgame Encore?
Endgame cash grab. Game retcon to Oblivion. Endgame. Should have been the Endgame.
You really should have just called it Endgame retcon. That is what this is. That they're trying to pick apart the story they don't want and keep the story they do, and then move on to the next phase, right? Like in terms of what came after Endgame in between Doomsday. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Next came an extended bit between Feige and Happy Sad Confused podcast host Josh Horowitz, with both recounting the number of times the host asked about a project long tied to internet favorite Ryan Gosling, before, according to Variety, introducing the actor in a surprise announcement for a Ghost Rider installment. Everyone has had this on their timeline at one point or the other, where Ryan Gosling has expressed his interest and Kevin Feige has said there's been no conversation. Well, here it is. It happened. It is actually happening. Gosling entered the stage to a very receptive crowd, a lot of cheers, explaining how he'd long been interested in portraying the character on screen, which we knew, yet only one director, and that's in quotes, only one director could help bring the character to life in the way the actor and Feige could envision. Enter Sean Levy. That man's everywhere. That man's doing everything. That man's everywhere. The director known for helping another internet favorite, Ryan, to bring Deadpool to life, and coming fresh off a project with Gosling in next year's Star Wars Starfighter, he now helms Ghost Rider. Levy described, quote, "As Ryan started talking about his vision for this character, we started riffing, and I finally said, bro, let's ride. So guys, we'll see you in 2028. Which is just, he comes, what I imagine, because I've watched, I read the whole thing. I imagine he came out and he just shook hands with both Gosling and Feige. And he's like, yeah, we started riffing and we said, let's do it. All right, I'll see you guys later. And he just like left. Like it was that quick. And the crowd's like, ah! Yeah. Anyway, how do we feel about this? Are we excited about Gosling portraying the man himself, Ghost Rider?
I don't think he's the right cast. I've got to see him as Ghost Rider, I guess. He's not jumping out at me. I still think of him I guess Project Hail Mary and Ken, and I'm thinking of him in his recent roles, and he's not got, I guess, the gruffness that I expect out of a character like Ghost Rider. So they're going to probably have to origin story him, maybe, for the MCU.
I feel like he's going to be Johnny Blaze. I don't know. Like I feel like he's going to be kind of that more outgoing personality who he's like, he's just if there's a way to describe Johnny Blaze, especially from like the comics, he is anytime he turns into Ghost Rider, like things melt around him because there's so much power radiating off of him. Like he's very extroverted in everything he does, is how I'll say it. Whereas characters like I'm pretty sure like Robbie Rees is more reserved with his power. Not a lot, but in terms of just their personalities, they're a little different. I feel like if you're Gosling, Johnny Blaze makes a lot more sense. And you have to cater back to, because the thing is, he can play that more serious or that more convoluted character type. Because think about him in Blade Runner and in Drive. Like, he can portray those characters. It's just especially in recent past, we associate him so hard with characters like Ken or Ryland Grace from his most recent film, Project Hail Mary, and just beyond, right? Like think about all the films he's done recently, and they're all a little bit more on the silly side. However, I mean, think about his just range of emotion from La La Land through Drive through Blade Runner. I think he could pull it off. I just think that right now we have a lot of recency bias with silly Ryan Gosling, because he's so he's part Beavis and Butthead on SNL, and he's cracking up every time he's on screen. And it's like, he's done a really good job at making himself a lovable character online, and I'm sure that's who he really is. But it's easy to overlook him as a serious actor because of how silly he's been recently. Even though you can argue that Ryland Grace was more than just a silly character. That was a very silly portrayal, but that character was also serious when he needed to be. So I look forward to seeing what he brings to the table.
Starfighter will help.
Oh, yeah.
Starfighter will help a little bit. Bill Coulson was Ghost Rider for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not. But maybe he'll play the Carter Slade. Maybe he'll be the cowboy.
That'd actually be pretty cool. I don't think he will, because people want to see Drive. People want to see him on the motorcycle, dude. Like that's the whole point.
Or the '69 Charger.
That would be pretty sick too. But I think it'll be Blaze. I guarantee it'll be Blaze. It'll be him on the cycle because people like that. The thing is, the Blazer would be more akin to what we've seen from him, like with Drive. But again, we'll see. I think it'll be or Charger. I said Blaze and I said Blazer. Duh. Charger. Sorry, I said Johnny Blaze.
70s Blazer. Square body.
I thought I said Charger. My bad. But you get the point. Is that like that does feel more akin to Drive, but I don't know. I just think he'd be a better Johnny Blaze.
I should have cast somebody else.
Good
for him for getting the role he wanted, I guess, because he spoke up. But I don't know. I think
you made that point. You made that point before we started recording. You said like, "Hey, I don't think he was the right call." Explain that. Like, go deep into your psyche with that. I'm curious why you think so, because I don't necessarily disagree.
I think it's recency bias purely. Like, I don't think he's gruff enough. I'm looking at him, and he's had work done, but like he doesn't look like Nick Cage. I like Nick Cage.
Nah, I don't think you can bring back Nick Cage for that. But there is no. I looked up a quick Ghost Rider like fan casting and immediately took me to December of 2024's publishing from Collider. And the first one they have on here is Nick Cage. I think he's a little old, but someone that I really liked that they had on here was Aaron Paul's on this list, which I think is very interesting. But if there's one person that I thought could fit the role, Norman Reedus.
Yeah,
he would have been. He is that gruff. And if you put him on a motorcycle and say, yeah, I'm Johnny Blaze, and then you make his face explode into flames and he turns into, like, I would believe it. Whereas with Gosling, again, that recency bias does hit hard. It is kind of tough to see him as that character. But when I think of him from Drive, like, I'm like, he can probably pull it off, like maybe. I mean, he was in, I don't know. I think he's done enough to where he's more than earned the right to choose a character like that. But also, I made the point earlier. I think the recency bias hits him so hard that it's difficult to see him as that gruff character. But he has done that before. I just cannot help but think Blade Runner, because that character was depressed.
As Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy, I think.
I saw that name as well. Hey, that would fit very well. But like one of those two probably would have been a more true to the character casting. But we're talking about a guy who I've used the term before, but he has rubber face. Ryan Gosling can probably portray literally anybody or anything if you give him the time.
Ooh, and Aaron Paul.
I said Aaron Paul a second ago, didn't I?
All right, my bad.
No,
Sam Witwer.
Sam
Witwer.
Keep
throwing him out there.
Sam Witwer.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would have liked Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul would have been a really good Ghost Rider.
I think so.
But alas. Moving on. Variety points out that we've had films recently with internet castings like this get the official nod, only to go through production hell and an endless cycle of it's coming, only to be canceled years later. Blade. With many taking a I'll believe it when I see it approach. Should we have the same level of apprehension with this film?
I think people want to see Ryan, and I think they'll get it done.
I think it's one of those things where you don't have enough. Like when you announce Blade, you are also in between like at least half a dozen other projects, because you're also dealing with all of the shows and you're dealing with all of whatever. And apparently Mahershala Ali was like, had his hands in it a lot, and there was a lot he disagreed with. Some people online, if you read into it, say that he was the problem. There's not enough release to even gather any sort of thought on what that could have been like or who caused what problem. However, I just don't think Ryan Gosling will cause the problems that were caused on set if it is an actor problem with what happened with Blade. And on top of it, he's working with a guy he's worked with before, obviously, in Sean Levy, which is why I think he's the right director if Gosling is the guy taking the mantle, which he is. I don't think we're going to see that problem just because there's not as many projects on dock like there were with Ali. Like you can singularly focus on, spoiler, Black Panther 3 and Ghost Rider and Secret Wars. And, you don't have to worry as much because those are the only ones you're coming out with, not 15 shows on top of it. So I don't think we're going to see that happen. We don't really hear Ryan Gosling go through production hell like that. And again, he's working with a director he really, really enjoys working with. So I don't think we're going to see that problem.
Director of Stranger Things, Deadpool and Wolverine, The Atom Project, Free Guy, Night at the Museums, Real Steel.
Yeah.
The Internship.
This is what. So I'm happy you read his filmography, because I do have a little bit of a worry. Like, I do think he's the right guy because he's worked with Ryan Gosling before, and this is obviously who he wants. But these are like silly films, you know, like all these.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the right guy.
They're very whimsical.
This
I
is
say
Ghost
the right
Rider
guy,
we're talking about.
If I'm not saying in terms of story, I'm saying for your lead. Like, if Ryan Gosling wants him, I'm saying okay, then he's the right guy, because you have to hand the keys a little bit to Gosling for him to portray it, right? Like. So in that respect, that's what I mean by, like, I think he's probably, like, if in this respect, if Gosling's your lead, he's the right guy because that's who Gosling wants. But if we're going by straight filmography, he's very whimsical in his storytelling, and Ghost Rider is the opposite.
I was talking about Sean.
That's what I'm saying, Sean Levy.
Yeah, I don't think he's serious enough.
I will say Sean Levy does have some of my all-time bangers on his filmography, though. Night at the Museum and
Stranger Things.
Well, yeah, sure, but no, I mean, sure. Like, Real Steel, like this guy's got, he's got, like, my childhood.
He teased Real Steel Tool, Real Steel 2, Tool.
Don't tease us like that. Like, that's all I have to say. Right? Give it to me. That's all I have to say.
Under wraps, dude.
Anyway, any other thoughts about Sean Levy? He
was in 21 Jump Street, the TV show.
Good for him. In terms of the types of story he tells, I don't know if he's the right fit for Vibe. But then again, we're acting like we're essentially like typecasting him as a director in terms of what stories he can tell. Like, yeah, sure. Just because up to this point he's not had anything like that. Again, Ryan Gosling, he's got that rubber face. He can do whatever he wants when you give him the time and the character. And I would like to see Levy in a more serious role.
We will see with Starfighter. He's director on that. And there's a TV series coming out with Dungeons and Dragons that I think is probably also going to be a funnier.
Oh yeah.
Show. But we'll see with Starfighter. If he could pull Starfighter off, I'll allow it. I think that'll be a good movie regardless. Anyway, let's go on to Doomsday. Following the Gosling announcement, directors Joe and Anthony Russo took the stage with all of their cast, their ensemble, the all-encompassing ensemble, I should say, for their upcoming film. Not everybody, but a good hunk of them from various IPs throughout the Marvel Universe. Notably, RDJ took the stage to share some thoughts regarding his portrayal as the legendary comic villain. After praising the cast around him, Downey explained, quote, "When y'all had faith in me 2 years ago, you lifted me up, and I think we made something real special. But decisions will have to be made. Perhaps you're on the side of the good guys, or perhaps you'll have to consider the alternative." What that mean?
It's an interesting way to phrase that, but we'll see. Then, as he's getting done with his section, an X-Force clad Deadpool, yes, that was really Ryan Reynolds, by the way, in the grayish blue suit. Apparently, nobody knew who that was. Apparently, they were like, oh, that sounds like Ryan Reynolds. But because he never took the mask off, nobody knew until after. He appeared in the crowd begging for a spot in the upcoming film. A point that was considered awkward by Variety. Variety was like, it was an awkward moment. No one knew who he was. Because it's just a Deadpool showed up and started being like, can I be in your movie?
Because, to be fair, there's a lot of people out there who kind of sound like Ryan Reynolds, especially if they're trying, especially at a Comic-Con.
I was about to say, there are pictures that Reynolds posted following the event that showed him posing with all these other Deadpool. And as he's posting these pictures, those people who were dressed as Deadpool taking pictures with him had no idea that was really Ryan Reynolds. They had no clue. Yeah. And while that is funny in and of itself, it just, if you listen to Variety, it just did not hit. It did not hit. People were like, not confused, but they were like, haha, guy with the mic, Deadpool. I've seen 15 of those today.
Where did he get that mic?
Yeah. Why did he get to talk? But anywho, do you think that's confirming a spot in this movie for Deadpool?
Ryan kind of does what he wants.
But we have to know why Thor was crying over Deadpool. I'm sure that's in this movie.
No.
I'm sure. They won't push that back.
He was crying?
You didn't see Wolverine, did you? Deadpool Wolverine.
I did. I don't remember Thor.
It's very quick when he was at the TVA. It showed on the screen. He's like, oh, why is Thor crying over me? And it was literally Chris Hemsworth. There's a whole bit. I don't know. I'm interested. I think that this is low key, like confirming that he's
Loki.
I think this is Loki. I think this is legitimately confirming that he is in the movie, but they're just trying to keep it somewhat a secret. So they're just having him pop up around when they're doing pressers. You know,
generate buzz. they just want. Let's get Ryan there dressed up, and it just absolutely flopped and was awkward.
Right. Again, that's if you listen to Variety.
Audiences are dense, apparently.
I don't think if I were there and I saw that, I don't think I would assume that was Ryan Reynolds either. If you met every time you saw a Deadpool,
that guy sounds like Ryan.
If every time you saw a rather tall Deadpool that kind of sounded like Ryan Reynolds, and you assume that's Ryan Reynolds, I think that's a you problem. Because why are you doing that? At
San Diego.
Right.
Comic-Con. Yeah. Of all places.
The highest concentration of Ryan Reynolds sounding Deadpools, like in terms of cosplay, that is where they will be. And so, of course. Yeah, anyway. Then, according to Variety, the ensemble revealed a new trailer for the upcoming film, with Variety further describing this trailer, saying that it had some unheard backstory about how Doom became Doom, but not going super deep into the story, but a little bit, just kind of laying the groundwork. And then peppered throughout was some recycled footage from the last trailer. So it wasn't a whole lot of new. How do we think the story will play out after hearing all that?
The good guys win.
No.
I don't know. I have absolutely no idea where they could possibly take this.
This goes back to the point I made last story. You know, just like if that is true, if the whole Steve going back with Peggy caused the issues, again, I think that's interesting. But there's so many variables, and with the what are you adding for you to where you have to go back? I don't want to go back in that conversation, but you get what I'm saying. We'd go back to Endgame. I do have another question for you, Jake. Sorry, I thought you were going to continue. I gave you some air to ask.
Dude, a question. I'm actually just lost. Actually, I have. So until I know more about, I guess, the retcon and what that could possibly mean for. I don't even know if I'm going to go watch it. I don't even know if I'll watch the retcon.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So don't get my money.
You actually answered a question I'm going to ask here in a second. But as we get closer and Marvel's continuous media blitz hits the social media zeitgeist, are we finding ourselves more or less optimistic for the film? You seem to be very pessimistic.
I'm pessimistic because I don't like the ideas and the path going forward. I think that they're eating their words or eating their foot and having to go back and change something to make their current story work. And that's how dog crap their forethought was. Mm-hmm. And they've got to go back on what they've done because it's obviously not working. The Disneyification of Marvel. I just don't care for it.
Yeah, I'm optimistic that they are optimistic, but I don't. The thing is, people have already bought millions of dollars worth of tickets months out. Like, it's going to do well. I'm interested. Like, it piqued my interest a little bit with some of the way that they might be telling the story, but I need to see more, especially as we get closer. I don't feel right having to go back to the theaters to watch another 20 minutes on top of a movie that I saw a decade ago. I don't really feel that comfortable, or I don't like that, I should say. I don't necessarily want to give them more money, but I might just because I want to see what's new. But further beyond that, do we think this will be the hit Marvel needs to get back on track? Because beyond anything, beyond how they finagle and twist their story to make it fit, they just need money. They need a hit. They need people to go into theaters. Do we think this will be that for them?
We get a Marvel roadmap here.
God bless.
Let's see here. Doomsday, Daredevil, Secret Wars, Ghost Rider, Black Panther 3, X-Men. After Secret Wars sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Because we get to, I won't go into the Black Panther one, but the X-Men, like we finally get more X-Men. And what sounds to be like decent X-Men, maybe?
See, you're getting right into a point I'm going to get into, but let's go ahead and read this last bit from. So if you're wondering if there was more, if we left some stuff out, maybe a few details, This is the majority of the panel. This is it. Like everything we're talking about, there wasn't really anything else beyond what we're talking about here. Maybe some fine details within the bigger stories we're talking about, but this was it. And we'll get into that here in a second. However, you've already heard about it. We've hinted towards it the whole time. The biggest shock came with the last announcement being Black Panther 3, as Ryan Coogler's back. He's coming back to finish the story. He donned the stage to a raucous crowd. Everyone's hyped for Coogler coming off of his Oscar-winning Sinners last year. He returns to Marvel for his third installment into his franchise, trying to continue the storyline of Wakanda. Then, in the biggest surprise of the night, Coogler, joined by Black Panther stars Letitia Wright and Winston Duke, announced The Long Walk and Alien Romulus star David Johnson as T'Challa's son, T'Challa II, and as the next Black Panther. No one had this on their radar. This came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, here he is. The crowd went nuts. He gave a few words, thanking them for being there and thanking for Marvel for giving him the opportunity. And off we went. According to Marvel, the story will follow the young Wakandan as he grows up, quote unquote, and quote, comes of age to learning to fill his father's massive shoes. And this film looks to release also in 2028 with Ghost Rider. Moving on past Chadwick Boseman was never going to be easy. It's been really tough for Marvel since the late, great Chadwick Boseman. Do we feel like this was done in the right way? It's hard, especially when you're trying to fill those shoes. A lot of people were wondering if they were going to just recast T'Challa, which seemed wrong. They didn't. They're going with the storyline of his son. Do we think this is proper?
I think if you have to keep it going, this is one of the better options in terms of, but I think it's going to be weird because, like, number one, they named him the same thing, which I don't know if that's true in the comics. I don't know if you can look that up, but yeah. I think it's just so they can utilize, I guess, T'Challa and kind of say it was from like a comic book standpoint, or it's like he never changed. You can still go by T'Challa, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so from what I can see, it looks like
it's so they don't have to do another like to the comics, there are other Black Panthers. I think they've done this in a way where they've named the son T'Challa and can now say that's the same Black Panther, and they don't have to like alter any kind of costumes or behaviors or storylines. Well, it's the same Black Panther.
They introduced T'Challa II in the last Black Panther, in Black Panther 2, which was like the first attempt, which, like, again, I think that was done really respectfully and tastefully. But again, I asked the question because this is like the first time we're seeing the mantle really be picked up with someone from that bloodline, or from, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the first time where they're really trying to go out of the way to replace Chadwick, which again is so hard. I think they've done it fairly well. And as I've looked it up, the quick response from Google when I typed it in and I'm doing some quick research, it doesn't seem like he existed in the mainstream continuity, but he was created specifically for the MCU as a way. And again, you have to, like, it's not their fault for that. Like, they had to find a way to pivot after just a tragedy. There does seem to be other instances where T'Challa's had a son. I'm going through here very quickly. In other timelines, there's Azari T'Challa. He was born to T'Challa in X-Men Storm in alternate futures, like next Avengers reality. Again, T'Challa II, which seems to be the MCU. And then just a few others. Like, this isn't the first time that there has been a son attributed in the comic book continuities too, from just what I can quickly look up. But this is one of the first runs where there's just a straight up T'Challa II. And I'm very fascinated by this.
Interesting. Well, I guess we're doing our own thing.
Which I don't disagree with. I guess now, beyond this, the next step is like, what do we hope to see from this? I don't want this to just be another origin story. Like this is being very picky. Because Ryan Coogler is going to do wonders, right? It's going to be filmed in like 70 millimeter, because Coogler is like the apprentice to Christopher Nolan's master Jedi, right? Like the dude is absolutely insane. In terms of like how he's taught Coogler and how their relationship, they're so close and they're teaching each other. So obviously, like there's going to be a level of high quality cinema that's going to be brought to the MCU, which is what's been needed. And I really look forward to that in terms of just the storytelling, because I absolutely love Coogler. However, despite me knowing that the quality of storytelling will be high, how I want to see this stay in the original realm, right? I want to see this be something new, and I do worry about just another, I gotta live up to my dad. I gotta get revenge for my dad. Oh,
he's gonna make mistakes.
Yeah, and then he's gonna make mistakes, and someone's gonna be like, hand on his like cheek, and they'd be like, "You're not your dad, and that's okay.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, you don't have to be your dad." And he's gonna be like, ah, and that's gonna be like, and I don't want to see that. Like, I fear that I can tell you what's gonna happen, and that will make me a little upset, just because it's like, again, Ryan Coogler is that type of creator. For him to get a story that's that face value, you know, like, I don't know. I'm being very snobby right now, but that is how I feel about it.
He might just be given a script and Disney tells him to get at it. Movie boy.
I cannot imagine Coogler's like that. I cannot imagine, just because, like, I don't know, the way he carries himself. I'm being very parasocial right now, but that's how my gut instinct is like, Coogler's not like
You're
that.
projecting.
I am projecting. That's okay. I really do. Like, I cannot tell you how much I love Ryan Coogler. Like, I feel like everything the man has touched is just phenomenal. And
because his name's Ryan.
No, although he does have a great first name. Anyway, really? We have a few other questions here before we get out of this segment. According to Variety, many fans felt as if they were lacking after this panel, that there should have been more. Like, according to Variety, they straight up said, quote, "It's hard not to feel like, is that it?" Do we agree with them?
Yeah, I feel like they're just spoon feeding, and we're supposed to believe that this is okay. And they're retconning a decade-old movie and have decided is like, oh, here's sprinkles, whatever. And, oh yeah, Ryan Reynolds is here. I don't know, man. I just think it's low effort budget cuts. I don't know what it is. I have no idea.
I do think it's just them trying to renew interest. To be honest with you, I didn't feel that way. I felt like there was some excitement because these were surprising. I just got done glazing Coogler, and I'm excited to return back to Wakanda with him at the helm. So that I'm excited for. I'm interested in seeing Levy break out of his whimsical storytelling to tell something a little bit more serious, and Gosling can portray that. And again, Doomsday, there's that interesting storyline that they could be following that does have me interested if that is where they go. So my whole take on this, because I was reading through Variety, and there's a point that we've been making that, man, they should have slowed down. They should have even taken a break. They should have focused on quality. We've heard Feige say that, is like, hey, we got into our own head. We should have tried to make good stuff instead of a lot of stuff. And this, to me, feels like that genuine step forward in that direction. They're pulling back. They're saying, hey, we're going to give you what you want. Like, X-Men's down the line. We're going to do more with the Fantastic Four. We're getting into the next step of the Avengers. Whether or not you feel like there was enough build up to the next saga of Avengers, which is true. Like, a very great point people are making online is like, with the last Avengers, you felt like they already knew each other. Like they've been through battles, and by the time you got to Infinity War, they had already defeated Loki and Ultron. And it's like they're already this cohesive unit. Whereas now you're getting through a failed phase where these characters have never met before, and now you're supposed to expect them or feel comfortable or unified with them as they're unifying to fight Doctor Doom. Like, that is a very real critique. However, when you look at what their problem has been and what they're promising to become, I don't blame them. And actually, I applaud them for saying, we acknowledge our mistakes. Maybe not so much to go back and retell story just to fit now, but I do respect them being like, look, we're going to focus on making good stuff. And so we're going to not quantity over quality. We're going to really focus on our movies. Henceforth, why there's only so many announcements, why they're really focusing on Doomsday, and why there was only 2 new movies. I like that. So I guess my point is, like, people were absolutely clowning on the MCU for the past however many years for being what it became. Now they're finally taking steps to becoming back to what we know them to be historically. And the first question is that it? You don't have more? And what do you want them to do? What do you want them to do?
It's the world of abundance. Come on.
Screw that. I like this direction. I might not like everything they're doing, but I do like that they are genuinely, it feels like they're genuinely taking care in trying to move forward instead of just throwing ensembles together and saying movie or show or whatever. Like how many shows they make and how many good ones did they actually produce? Like you got Loki.
Hawkeye.
Nah, I like Hawkeye was okay. It was just whatever. But like I liked WandaVision. I thought WandaVision was fun. I liked Loki. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was okay. I love that dynamic between Bucky and Sam. I thought that was cool.
But
beyond that, that's it. Like that, those are the good ones. And I'm sure I'm missing one or two, but you get the point. It's like they created a ton of series, and that was all they could come out with in terms of She-Hulk was awful. You know, Daredevil's pretty good. I know a lot of people have really liked Daredevil. A lot of people really like Daredevil. Anyway, the point is
random bullshit. Go.
Yeah. They're trying to commit to the quality that we've been begging them to do, and now the first thing that we ask them when they do it is that it? I hate that. But in the last question of this segment, just straight up, do we have renewed confidence in the future of the MCU at all? And will this be something we return to following? Jake's saying hard no.
Death of the MCU.
You really want them to go on a break. That's what I'm hearing.
Bring back Stan Lee.
No, don't do that.
Bring him back. Bring him back.
You know they would if they could.
They can't.
I have AI. I have very cautious optimism. I like the direction they're going, but I'm being very I've been hurt by this before, where I've been excited by something and it's just been absolute trash. So I'm going to take my time and really kind of pay attention, dip my toe into the water to feel the temperature. I got the towel around my waist and I'm like, too cold. And I'm going to walk away. I'll come back later if I don't like something. That's how I'm dealing with the MCU right now. Any other thoughts before we get out of this segment?
Don't go watch Encore. Just don't.
Don't
you
give in.
You can watch it on YouTube in a few weeks. Just watch a deep dive on what's different.
In the 3 months between September 25th and December 18th, they're going to have it on Disney Plus, or it's going to be somewhere that you already pay for. Like you don't need to go out and watch it again. Anyway, with that out of the way, coming up after the break, we talk about what you should know before you go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. You've made it to segment 3, which is always what you should know before you go. Our quick hit segment where we fill you in from the rest of the news that happened this past weekend, or week, I should say, but I didn't really need a full breakdown. We gave you the big news. Now let's hit the little news. The little news deserves as much love as the big news. But before we get into that, I do want to start off by getting on my soapbox again. Listen, if you come here and you don't like that I get on soapboxes, I'm sorry, because I get on a lot of them. You're at the wrong show. Thank you for being here. For those who stick around week to week, for those who are new, if you just found us, thank you so much for sticking with us for the hour and 13 minutes that we've been recording. Thank you so much for allowing us to kind of vent how we feel and to stick it out. We do this in our spare time while we're also juggling a lot of responsibilities like jobs and other creative projects. So just to keep up with all this throughout the week and to come together creatively, me and Jake and Rose, our amazing social media personnel, our director. We haven't really given her a title, but Rose helps us out a ton with keeping this.
Social media galactic overlord.
There you go. Yeah.
Or galactic overlord of social media.
Sith Lord. Our social media Sith Lord. I cannot thank her enough just for helping us out and just you guys at home allowing us to be this creative and to share our opinions and hopefully you share yours in the comments or on any of the social posts. I can't thank you enough. And I love that you're here. And if you like what you're hearing, if you want to hear more, subscribe, follow wherever you're listening or watching, subscribe, do the whole 9, comment. It really does help out. Follow our socials, TikTok, Instagram. We're on Facebook, anywhere you can find them. And with that out of the way, Jake, are you ready? I'm about to step off that box. I'm about to step off the box, okay?
So
here I come. I'm stepping down. Okay, and there we go. And now let's move on to what you should know before you go. After a federal judge put the Warner Brothers Paramount merger on ice until August 17th, the Ellison-owned company agreed to put the deal on pause until after the WGA and state lawsuits are put to bed, meaning the merger could be on hold until June 1st of next year, that being 2027. If you follow our socials, you'll have heard us talk about this a little bit. However, I wanted us to revisit it and give a little bit more detail because we only had like 3 minutes to actually talk about it. So, Jake, now that we're a little bit removed from the breaking news that was Warnemount on hold until next June anyway, how do we feel?
I feel like they're about to lose a lot of. I feel like we're gonna get a Batman sooner.
Yeah, because they could just funnel all the $7 million per day just straight into production.
That'd be the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're David,
that timeline.
Listen, man, if you're Zaslav, you just got to be sitting back. Take as long as you want. Take as long as it needs. Because that man just rakes in more money the longer it takes, right? Like, he gets to continue doing his job, and then whenever something happens, he just gets to retire with the biggest bank account that's ever existed. So I still see this as a win, even a few days later. I think that just in terms of those who are trying to do right, whether or not it's for political gain, I digress. I don't really pay attention that hard into who's filing the lawsuits for each state. However, the idea that we're trying to protect our competition, trying to protect these jobs is what we're here for. Like, that's why we're, like, us on the show, we're so outspoken against this. It's stuff like this. This can't happen. Like if it does, they're going to move out of California and so many people are going to get laid off because they need to make money, and it's just unfortunate. So here's to hoping that something breaks, whether it's the bank account of the Ellisons, which probably won't happen, or something politically will help out, or Paramount just decides it's not worth it. Whatever the deal is, whatever the case, this is the first step into hopefully the best outcome. Like, hopefully this is the good ending, because there's a lot of different things that can happen. Speaking of, while all this was happening, Benedict Cumberbatch, Benedict Wong, and Alan Cummings, all of the UK, co-wrote an op-ed as the trio attempts to sway the UK government to block the Warnemount merger themselves. So remember, our federal government, not the FCC, but gave the approval. Then Europe gave the approval. The UK is still investigating, right? The FCC hasn't given their stuff yet here, along with the lawsuits. Do we think that this added pressure will make a difference, or do we think it will just continue whatever route we're going to go?
It'll continue whatever. UK is already like Europe's, right?
So the UK is not in the EU, so they're not the same. This is the UK. This is its own independent investigation of the EU and anything in the US.
Not bad. I still don't think it's going to change.
Yeah, I do like to think.
Yeah,
I do like to think this will add added pressure that is needed. It's like, hey, you got all these lawsuits that you have to wait half a year before you can, or more than half a year before you can even do anything anyway. On top of the UK might be banning you, but we'll see.
I don't think it'll change much.
Maybe. We will see. Any other thoughts on Warnemount?
Can they rename themselves to that? That'd be great.
That's what the streets are saying. That's what the streets are calling them. But no, we're not going to leave Warner, but we will walk away from Paramount for a bit, as Warner sues Amazon for allegedly poaching HBO Max marketing exec Pia Barlow while still under contract. HBO argues that Amazon is, quote, hurriedly seeking to pirate away a number of contracted employees. According to Deadline, the lawsuit continues by explaining that Warner, quote, alleges intentional interference with contractual relations, breach of contract, and unfair competition. This has reignited a long-held debate about tech companies who historically don't have contracts stealing employees from historical media outlets who do enforce contracts. What do we think?
I don't like contracts. We know this.
Yeah.
I don't like that media does contracts like that. I think it stifles a creative in a sense that you have to jump entire industries.
Yeah, it is annoying. I can see from the company that's like, we're trying to keep these homegrown talents at home. Hey, like I'm sure Barlow worked her way up through Warner or in the industry of some sort, and then all of a sudden she had a contract worth however many years, and then she just leaves. Like it is tough from a business standpoint but that's just business. Like if everyone could limit how their employee or when their employee jumps, that gives a lot of power to the corporation and less to the employee. So
Right.
as annoying
we
as
know people who can't move because of contracts.
right.
We know people who are stuck regardless of pay and have to worry every year that they might not sign it again.
Yeah. I don't think employers should have the amount of power that I think Warner wants, which is like, again, I can understand how frustrating that might be. I can understand X, Y, and Z of why they would want to fight this. However, if I or you were stuck where we're at now because of a contract, this fine print in a contract, and I couldn't get a job I wanted, I'd be pretty upset. So I cannot side with Warner on this instance. And again, do I understand where they're coming from? Sure. But again, that is a level of power I'm not willing to hand any corporation ever.
And do we know what job they took at Amazon?
I can probably find that actually, because I'm pretty sure it was a very similar role. So she left the HBO Max marketing executive position,
right. Which is purely streaming. That is the industry.
Yes.
Can't argue about it. It is a streaming industry. Going to Amazon for like product, like marketing, or are we straight streaming, Amazon Prime streaming?
So she took what looks to be Amazon MGM Studios as VP and head of series marketing. So she left. What was just. Series. So she left what was just a streamer to a whole studio. So she did, because she wasn't in Warner marketing. She was HBO Max marketing exec, and she now is over Amazon MGM. But again, Amazon MGM is owned by. Yes, it just says head of series marketing. So take of it what you will. It's a little different because, again, this is a legacy studio that does do TV shows. But the point still stands is this legacy studio is owned by a tech company, which continues the argument,
I don't think
right?
they have the grounds.
Probably not.
I don't think Warner has the grounds. I would rule against it without any prior knowledge as the judge.
So from what I understand, Netflix in 2021, this is from Deadline, lost a 5-year legal battle with 20th Century Fox, which is now owned by Disney, which had accused the streamer of poaching 2 TV studio executives. YouTube recently settled a lawsuit filed by Disney over the hiring of former top ESPN executive Justin Connolly. So we have lawsuits like this happening. So Fox...
And they lost.
Yeah. So, Fox sued Netflix and won. And YouTube just settled with Disney. So there was no win there. So it seems to be like, of recent history, it goes either way. Like there's not been like a obvious one side. A precedent hasn't been set, right? Like, because there's multiple and they've each gone different ways.
Hell of a company to choose to sue. I would assume they have the money to bankroll that 5-year, depending on how long that court case could be.
Most definitely. I mean, it depends on how far they're wanting this to go. Warner, again, is getting that money from Paramount. And in theory, they might be getting Paramount money and Ellison money to pursue this lawsuit. But they're going up against Bezos money. So it's not like this could be a lawsuit that never ends if we're not careful, just because of who's bankrolling.
And it puts that person who's in between it in a very weird, I guess, like position, because like you're now like Amazon made the choice to hire you, but now has to spend far more money.
You have to
much more money. You have to now either, prove your worth, and or Amazon just is fighting a court case that could take longer than you're employed there.
But you know what's so what bothers me about
at that point, it's principle.
But Amazon offered her the job.
Knowing damn well.
Yes, right? Like that. Like that's kind of like, I get, like you're saying, what you're saying is exactly right. That'd be what will happen. Like that is what will happen. But it's like, you offered her. Like what do you mean she now has to prove her worth to me because I had to spend all this money to get her? You offered the money to begin with. Like I don't know. Like it's just, that will be what will happen. But gosh, it is just so unfortunate that that's where we're
It's the
at.
workplace drama that I can imagine, because I only know it on a small scale of workplace, but I still can't imagine if I was hired and then the company I came from sued the company I work at, and now I'm like under a microscope because everybody knows that I created a lawsuit.
It's almost like I mean, you hear stories of like you accept another job and like your current boss calls the new place and says you can't hire her because like or them because they're bad at their job. And so then like that's what this feels like. But it was like they got to the phone too late and she had already moved into her new office. And it's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm suing you for that." That's what this feels like. Anyway, we ready to move on past Warner?
Yeah, I can't wait for more awful news.
Yeah, great. So remember earlier I said, hey, Pixar made $1 billion or earned the $1 billion mark for one of their movies. And I said it was a bad week still. Here it is. Disney laid off hundreds of jobs this past week across its various brands, with Pixar taking the brunt of the losses. Reports indicate that those inside Pixar are blaming Hoppers and its lack of box office success as to why the company was hit so hard. Thing is, Hoppers was not necessarily a big loss. It just wasn't an earner. It was in the gray. It earned right about back what it cost to market and produce, like right around maybe a little less. It didn't necessarily lose the company money. It just didn't gain the company money. And what did Disney do? Despite them popping out another film that crossed $1 billion soon after, oh, we're going to cut a ton of your jobs.
Sad.
This is the second. Sorry, go ahead.
I like Pixar. Pixar's good.
I do too.
They churn out some good movies, man.
Remember, Josh D'Amaro, who's the new CEO of Disney, took over in like March or April. This is his second massive layoff since he's taken over.
What's that say?
I don't know. And see, here's the thing too. This isn't like Xbox. I know Xbox was getting a lot of hate for Sasha for her cutting all those jobs. The difference is, think about where Xbox is and think about where Disney is. One of them is still massively profitable, yet one of them is cutting more jobs. Why? AI. Streamlined services and responsibilities that they're trying to cut people out of, and just trying to make like their bottom dollar, trying to earn more on their bottom dollar. It just screams selfishness to me. It screams selfishness. Like, I don't know. I understand Hoppers didn't do what you want, but in the same week that one of their next film following Hoppers earned $1 billion, billion, hundreds of millions of that going to you.
Well, I'm looking through here, and so I don't think Onward did well. Did Soul do well?
Yeah, Soul did pretty well.
Luca, I don't think. Did Luca do well?
If memory serves me right, I'm pretty sure Luca did well.
Turning Red, Lightyear, Elemental.
Lightyear is awful. Both of those Elemental did okay.
Elio, Hoppers.
Let's take a look. Yeah, so Luca did not do well. Luca, what was another one?
Turning Red or Soul?
Soul's the one. Turning Red didn't do well either, but Soul, it grossed 122 million worldwide during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can blame. I don't think you can blame a lot of these on Pixar. Are a lot of those hits? No. Luca did not do well.
Well, those are the most recent. Like I'm reading off from 2020 on, and they're not hitting. I didn't list Inside Out 2, Toy Story 5, but those two are the only ones in that list from 2020 that did well.
I would argue that's the Disneyfication of it, though. I would say that is more Disney than it is Pixar, yet Pixar's reaping the punishment.
Mm-hmm. We can go back a little bit further and say Coco. Like I'm starting at Cars 3, like right after Finding Dory. So you got Coco, Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, and then you hit Onward.
All those
like
did
those
well.
were okay. Yeah.
I don't think you
Dinosaur,
can blame
Inside Out 1, Monsters University, Brave, going back into the 2012s. into the teens, like those are good.
Onward
90s.
was also cut short from COVID.
So
It's just,
I think Pixar's taking the brunt of the issue here. When did they acquire? Or they've always been.
No, in the early 2000s, 90s. It wasn't always.
Okay. Toy Story 1995.
So when did Disney buy Pixar? We'll answer the question. May of 2006. I knew it. So Pixar had already had Toy Stories 1 and 2, Finding Nemo. The transaction was all stock for $7.4 billion. Back in 2006. I'm telling you, it's the Disneyfication of it, man. Like you look at all those films. Think about everything that happened after 2006, right? Yes, there are bangers. Undoubtedly, there are bangers in there. But think about that roadmap that was set originally by Pixar, right? I'm thinking Monsters, Inc. I'm thinking WALL-E. All these films. After that original roadmap, when you're starting to get into the more original, the first originals under Disney, truly originals, what happened?
WALL-E was 2008.
Yes, but that's right after that. That is already in production. That's already in pre-production. It's 2006. You know what I mean?
You actually see more sequels after that point than you do anything original.
No way, Disney with sequels? No, that's crazy. My point. The Disneyfication. It is Disney's fault that Pixar is flailing, if you want to call it that. The reason that this is happening, and they're punishing Pixar for it when it's Disney's fault. Anyway.
Moving on.
Any other thoughts on that note? Our last story of the day. While speaking at the 2026 San Diego Comic-Con, Seth Green revealed that a curated selection of episodes from the long-lost animated parody series Star Wars Detours will be getting its first public screening at the opening of the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art in September. Have you seen any of the screenshots from Star Wars Detours? It was supposed to be, apparently they had like 2 seasons ready. I don't know if that's true or not. But it's supposed to be this gag, like it's this parody series. It's meant to be just poke fun at the whole entirety of Star Wars. It was meant to air. I don't know if it was supposed to be like an Adult Swim or a Comedy Central type, but it was meant to be like, think Robot Chicken humor. That was kind of like the idea. Maybe take it back, tame it a little bit. But the idea was it was supposed to be just silly.
And this is the one that's come to the dark side. It's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where that quote's from.
Yes. But that show has never seen the light of day. It just those moments. And so now we're about to get our first curated selection of episodes screened by Lucas at his museum in September. It does make you wonder what happened. Did the episodes just not translate? Are there all, like, I guarantee a lot of them probably ended up not as good as they wanted it to be, because it makes no sense. But a lot of people have wanted to see Detours for a long time. And now here we are 15 years later.
I don't watch.
What'd you say?
I'm watching it right now, and it's just not.
It's not hitting.
Not good. No.
That's unfortunate.
I know. Sorry, I just keep saying no because I'm listening.
It's
and
okay.
listening. And
I'm waiting for you to give a little bit more. But if it's that bad, it's unfortunate because like I
can't even describe what I'm watching because it has Princess Leia's like a. I don't. Go find it's called Every Clip from Star Wars Detours by Fooey Duck's Basement. Like that's who posted it. 82,000 views in 2024, and it's just. It's got like kid versions of the characters. It's got it's maybe I'll give it a shot, but it is not looking good.
Okay, and we'll leave it at that. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show. Thank you so much for watching. Before we go, we have our continued series that we're doing. We end each episode with a recommendation of the week. Last week, Jake gave you name it again. Cells
at Work.
Cells at Work.
Cells at Work.
Yes. And then the week before that, I gave A Face in the Crowd. I'm back with another throwback, but not as far back as 1957. I was at a hotel most of last week, and I sat down because the internet was bad, and I didn't want to try to fight with Netflix to load to watch my show. So
And he ordered one of those special movies that you get at hotels.
right. No, I turned on the free cable that you get. You know, that terrible cable. There's no guide. You can just flip through and hope you find something. And surely enough, I caught the opening credits. FX, right? Everyone's favorite channel.
Ooh, gotta be a banger.
Gotta be a banger. Opening credits. FX in the bottom corner. I said, we're here. We found our spot. National Treasure came on, and I was like, I've not seen this in a while. I'll sit. The whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, Sean Bean, Chris Plummer. I'm like going through. I did not. I was telling Jake before the show, I forgot John Vought was as funny as he was in that movie. The dude is so funny. Follow Ben Gates and his crew as they are going on this massive expedition for this hidden treasure that the Gates family has been trying to find for their entirety of the lifeline, like back into generations. It is so fun. And it's just such a snapshot of 2004. Like from the technology they use and just there, it just felt like back in the day, there was like this grandiose ideology of like, we're going on an adventure. Think about the movies that came out at that time, right? Like just these random green lights that Disney threw out there with these big names that were mostly original. You don't get those anymore. It's just such a snapshot of the time, that early to mid 2000s, those movies, right? And it is so fun. And it's just so, again, it's a breath of fresh air in a day and time where good movies like that are I don't want to say harder to come by, but it's like we're always swimming in this swath of negativity, right? Everyone wants to be an auteur. Everyone wants to be the next Chris Nolan, right? Which is like a worthy place to try to reach. But dude, like when you go back and you watch that movie, it's not trying to take itself too seriously. It's just being an adventure. It is just having fun. And Nick Cage is awesome. Sean Bean is fantastic as a villain. Boromir is like genuinely kind of scary in that. Not because he's like a villain that's like, but because of how like his resources, and every time he comes on screen, you're like, run, Ben, run. Like, it's just so fun to like watch that back and forth and they're outwitting each other. I loved it. I had so much fun.
45 minutes in, Ryan was like,
No. I was having so much fun. I'm sitting there in this hotel room. It's probably turned a little too loud, but I wanted to hear it. And I'm sitting there just like, I remember having fun with this as a kid, but like the gags in it are awesome. Like after the dude, spoilers, after Ben gets the declaration, he's trying to hide from people because he's literally like, he's in this government building. And he's got it in his jacket. And as he's starting to walk out, it starts to peek out. And he's in a gift shop. He's hiding from Dr. Chase, who is trying to find him because she's on to him because his name, he gave a name like Paul Brown. And so he's like, I got to hide from her because she knows she's on to me. And as he's about to leave the gift shop, the lady at the register goes, are you trying to steal that? And he's like, huh? And he looks down and there's a whole bin of signed declaration spoofs. And she thinks he's stealing. And that is such a funny moment because it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, she's like, you know what's going on. It's high stakes, but it was just a great way to release some tension in between these moments. And you don't get stuff like that anymore. And it's just fun, man. So go watch. Recommendation of the week is National Treasure. Let Nick Cage and all his Cageisms take you on a journey that is just absolutely fantastic. John Vought, again, stole the show, in my opinion. I thought he was so freaking good. Go back and watch National Treasure.
And then watch Ghost Rider because it's actually part of that universe.
Right. Anywho.
Okay.
Goodbye. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next week on Beyond the Screen. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.